ideas, and how do you research?
They kind of find me usually. In the old days of mining companies, I read a lot of newsletters, I read a lot of stuff. I used to go to a lot of talks by mining companies, a lot of lunches where mining stories would present their story. I mean, in the golden age, there was no shortage of companies looking to tell their story. They're pretty easy to find investment opportunities. You know where you find really interesting investment stories now is on crowdfunding sites. There are loads of much more interesting than boring old AIM stuff. The problem with those is that there's going to be, at some stage, there's going to be a big cock-up with crowdfunding sites. There's going to be a scam, or somebody's going to lose a lot of money, and there's going to be nowhere for the people who lost the money to go. But you know, it's harder to get out of an investment than it is out of something like, you know, just an ordinary stock that's listed. But there are some really interesting stories on angel sites and crowdfunding sites. There are loads of interesting stuff going on.
Okay, so what is your stock picking approach? What is a bargain share to you?
Well, I look at the chart. I look at the sector. If it's a sector I know reasonably well, I look at management, their record. I made an investment earlier in the year, and I spent about a month doing credit checks and on the main players, and like looking them up on LinkedIn, and you know, looking at like the 80th page on Google to see if anyone had issues with them. And you know,
You enjoy doing all that?
No. Not very. I don't. No, waste too much time. But in this case, I had to do a lot of homework on it. I mean, it can be interesting sometimes, but yeah. So it varies. This is a private investment I was making, and I liked the story, but I wasn't entirely won over with management. So I did that research to kind of satisfy those doubts.
How do you determine if a company is under or overvalued?
I mean, usual thing, compare it to its peers. Look, if it's a company that's making money, look at its earnings, look at its future potential earnings. Compare it to similar companies in other sectors. I'm a big believer in using ratios to determine value. But the problem with, you know, I can tell you that gold is good value now and the stock market is bad value, but the stock market can still carry on going up and gold can still carry on going down. So that's the problem with value investing, is it requires a lot of patience. Things like PE ratios, CAPE, all that kind of stuff. Look at it sometimes. But I'm not really a value investor.
Okay. What is your view about value investing versus momentum investing?
Value investing works brilliantly for some people. It obviously works for Warren Buffett, although he made most of his money through insurance. People forget that. But it worked for Anthony Bolton, was a kind of value investor, but he was also a big chartist. You know, we're back to that fundamentals versus technical trading. You know, momentum. If it's a bull market, go long. Doesn't matter what the fundamentals are.
Without giving away trade secrets, which I know you won't, are there any telltale signs that people should look out for if they're going long or have got great hopes in a company or want to go short, i.e. language, ratios?
If it's a mining company that has come from Canada to tell its story in the UK, and the management of that company is staying at the Savoy Hotel, you should not be investing in that company, unless they're paying for that hotel out of their own pocket. But if they're using shareholders' money to spend on Claridge's or the Savoy, be careful.